Marcus Carter's hands trembled as he stared at the line of black SUVs blocking his street. 5 of them. Engines running. Tinted windows like dead eyes watching his crumbling apartment building. Emma squeezed his hand tighter. Daddy, who are those people? He didn't know. But 24 hours ago, he'd given his last $40 to a stranger being robbed 3 blocks from here. And now this. The center SUV's door opened. A woman stepped out. Tailored coat, heels that cost more than his rent, the kind of face you see on magazine covers. The same woman from yesterday, the one he'd helped. She walked toward him with the confidence of someone who owned the ground beneath her feet. Maybe she did. Mr. Carter, she said, her voice calm but urgent. We need to talk about yesterday. Marcus instinctively stepped in front of Emma. Look, I don't want any trouble. You gave me $40. Her eyes locked onto his. After you chased down a man twice your size to get my purse back. You were bleeding and you still refused my money, until I forced it into your hand. I was just helping someone. I know. A strange emotion flickered across her face. That's exactly why I'm here. Mr. Carter, I need to ask you something completely insane. And before you say no, I need you to understand. This could change your daughter's entire life. Emma peeked out from behind Marcus's leg. The woman crouched down, meeting Emma at eye level, her expression softening in a way that seemed almost painful for her. Hi, sweetheart. My name is Victoria. Then she stood, locking eyes with Marcus again. I need you to marry me. Before we continue, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. And if you believe stories like this should keep being told, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's see how an impossible proposal became the most dangerous decision Marcus ever made. 48 hours earlier, Marcus Carter had been standing in a different kind of nightmare. The principal's office at Riverside Elementary smelled like cheap air freshener and disappointment. Marcus sat in a chair meant for children, his knees almost touching his chest, while Principal Henderson shuffled papers across her desk with the enthusiasm of someone sentencing a man to death. Mr. Carter, this is the 3rd month. I know. Marcus's voice came out smaller than he intended. I get paid Friday. I can bring a check Monday morning. That's what you said last month. Henderson removed her glasses and Marcus recognized the look. Pity mixed with exhaustion. Emma is a wonderful student, bright, kind, creative. But we have policies. Through the office window, Marcus could see Emma sitting on the bench outside, swinging her legs. She wore her school uniform, the same one from last year, now too small, the hem frayed where he'd tried to let it out himself. She'd drawn flowers on her sneakers with markers to cover the holes. She looked up and waved at him, smiling. His heart shattered. Please, Marcus said, hating the word even as it left his mouth. Just 1 more week. I'm picking up extra shifts. I'll make it work. Henderson sighed. Mr. Carter, have you considered public school? There are excellent options that wouldn't put this financial strain. She loves it here. Marcus stood abruptly, the small chair scraping against the floor. Her friends are here. Her teachers know her. After everything she's been through, I can't take that away from her too. The silence that followed felt like judgment. 1 week, Henderson finally said, but this is the last time. Marcus nodded, grabbed his jacket, and opened the door. Emma jumped up immediately, backpack bouncing. Are we going home, Daddy? Yeah, Princess, let's go home. They made it 3 steps down the hallway before Melissa Whitmore appeared, blocking their path like an expensive barricade. Designer handbag. Yoga pants that cost more than Marcus made in a week. The kind of smile that cut like glass. Her son, Trevor, stood beside her, already wearing the smirk of a kid who'd learned cruelty from his mother. Oh, Marcus. Melissa's voice dripped false sympathy. I couldn't help but overhear. Money troubles again? Marcus tried to step around her. Excuse us. She moved with him, maintaining the block. You know, Trevor mentioned Emma's been wearing the same uniform all year. Growing girl like that, it must be quite tight by now. Emma's hand tightened in Marcus's grip. We're fine, Marcus said flatly. Are you? Melissa tilted her head, studying Emma like a specimen. Because I've been thinking. There are programs for families in need, food assistance, clothing donations. I could get you some information. We don't need charity. Oh, it's not charity, Marcus. It's help. There's a difference. She leaned closer, lowering her voice just enough that Emma might not hear. People like you try so hard. working multiple jobs, sacrificing everything. But sometimes love isn't enough, is it? Sometimes children need stability, resources, things their parents simply cannot provide. Marcus felt rage building in his chest like steam. We need to go. I'm just saying. Melissa's hand landed on his arm, her grip surprisingly firm. If you truly loved your daughter, maybe you'd admit you're not equipped for this. There are couples who could give her everything. A real home. A real future. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Emma tugged his hand. Daddy? Trevor laughed, a sound he'd definitely learned from his mother. My mom says your dad's a janitor. He's a delivery driver, Emma said quietly. And a janitor, Trevor continued, emboldened. He cleans toilets. Melissa didn't correct him. Marcus crouched down, meeting Emma's eyes. Wait by the door, princess. I'll be right there. Emma hesitated, then nodded, walking toward the exit with her head down. Marcus stood slowly, meeting Melissa's gaze. You can judge me all you want. Question every decision I make, but don't you ever suggest I don't love my daughter enough. I'm not suggesting anything, Melissa said smoothly. I'm stating facts. You're drowning, Marcus, and you're dragging that little girl down with you. She walked away, heels clicking against the linoleum like a countdown. Marcus stood there, fists clenched, until the rage subsided enough that he could breathe again. Emma was waiting by the door, drawing patterns in the condensation on the glass. Ready? Marcus asked, forcing his voice to sound normal. She took his hand without a word. They walked the 12 blocks home because the bus cost money they didn't have. Emma talked about her day, art class, a book about dolphins, how her friend Sarah shared crackers at lunch. Marcus listened, responded, smiled when appropriate, but Melissa's words circled his mind like vultures. If you truly loved your daughter, their apartment building looked worse in daylight. Cracked brick, graffiti on the dumpster, a broken window on the 3rd floor someone had covered with cardboard. Home. Marcus unlocked their door, apartment 2C, the one with the number hanging sideways, and Emma immediately dropped her backpack and ran to the kitchen. I'm starving. Marcus opened the fridge. Milk, almost empty. Half a loaf of bread, peanut butter, eggs. He'd planned to stretch it until Friday. How about peanut butter toast? He suggested. Again? Emma's face fell, then immediately brightened in that way kids do when they realize their disappointment might hurt someone they love. I mean, that sounds great. Marcus made the toast, watching Emma pretend to be excited about it. 6 years old and already learning to hide hunger so her father wouldn't feel worse than he already did. He checked his wallet while she ate. $43, 3 days until payday. Rent was late. Electricity bill was late. The school payment was impossible. But Emma was eating toast and smiling, telling him about the dolphin book, and that had to be enough. It had to be. After Emma went to bed, Marcus sat at their tiny kitchen table surrounded by bills he couldn't pay, and allowed himself exactly 5 minutes to feel the weight of it all. That was his rule. 5 minutes of despair, then back to problem solving. He was on minute 3 when his phone buzzed. Text from his night shift supervisor. Can you cover tonight? Jimmy called out. Double pay. Marcus looked at Emma's closed bedroom door. She'd be asleep for hours. Mrs. Chen upstairs owed him a favor. I'll be there, he typed back. Minute 4, then 5. Then he stood up, splashed water on his face, and got ready for work. The next morning, Marcus stumbled home at 6:30, exhausted but $40 richer. Emma was already awake, dressed in her too small uniform, eating cereal. Morning, Daddy. Morning, Princess. He kissed the top of her head. How'd you sleep? Good. Mrs. Chen let me watch a movie. She makes really weird tea, though. Marcus smiled. I'll pick you up from school today, okay? We can stop at the park. Emma's whole face lit up. Really? Really? He walked her to school, watched her run inside, then headed to his delivery shift. 8 hours of driving packages across the city in a van that smelled like exhaust and regret. His body screamed for sleep, but the $40 from last night meant Emma could have a real dinner tonight. Worth it. His last delivery was downtown, some tech company office. He was carrying boxes to the lobby when he saw her. The woman was walking alone, designer dress, heels, carrying a leather purse that probably cost more than Marcus's car. She was checking her phone, not paying attention to the man following too close behind her. Marcus recognized the setup immediately. He'd grown up in neighborhoods where you learned to spot predators. He set the boxes down, The man moved fast, grabbed the purse, yanked hard. The woman stumbled, fell to her knees. The man was already running. Marcus didn't think, he just ran. The thief was fast, but Marcus had motivation. 3 blocks, dodging pedestrians, lungs burning. He caught up at an alley entrance, grabbed the guy's jacket, spun him around. "Give it back." The man swung. His fist connected with Marcus's jaw, stars exploding across his vision. Marcus went down hard, but he didn't let go of the jacket. They hit the ground together, the purse flying. Marcus blocked another punch, threw one of his own, connected with the guy's nose. Blood, shouting. Then the thief scrambled up and ran, leaving the purse behind. Marcus lay there for a moment, tasting copper, body aching. Then he grabbed the purse and walked back. The woman was still on the sidewalk, now surrounded by concerned pedestrians. Her knees were scraped, her dress torn. But when she saw Marcus approaching with her purse, her entire expression shifted. You got it back." Marcus handed it to her. "You okay?" "I think so." She accepted the purse, then noticed his face. "Oh God, you're bleeding." "I'm fine." She opened the purse, pulled out a wallet. "Please let me pay you, that was incredibly brave. I don't want your money." "But you're hurt, at least let me." "Ma'am, I was just doing what's right. You don't owe me anything." Marcus turned to leave. "Wait." Her voice stopped him. "What's your name?" Marcus Carter." "Victoria." She extended her hand. He shook it, noticing how soft her hand was compared to his calloused one. "Thank you, Marcus, truly." He nodded and started walking. "Please." She caught up, pressed bills into his hand. He saw 20s, a 50. "I know you said no, but you're bleeding because of me. Let me at least—" Marcus tried to give it back, but she closed his fingers around the money, her hands warm. "Please," she said quietly. "It would make me feel better." Marcus looked down. $80. He thought about Emma's uniform, the bills, the school payment. He pocketed $40, handed the rest back. "This is too much." Victoria smiled, sad somehow. "It's not nearly enough." A little voice called out, "Daddy!" Emma was running toward them, school backpack bouncing. Marcus had completely lost track of time. He was supposed to pick her up 15 minutes ago. "I'm so sorry, Princess, Emma crashed into his legs, hugging tight. Then she looked up, saw his face, gasped. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing, just a little accident." Emma noticed Victoria, suddenly shy. She pressed against Marcus's leg. Victoria crouched down, meeting Emma at eye level. For a moment, something flickered across her face. Longing, maybe, or recognition of something she'd never had. "Hi there," Victoria said softly. "You must be Marcus's daughter." Emma nodded. "He's very brave, your dad. Did you know that?" Emma nodded again, more confidently. "He's the bravest." Victoria stood, meeting Marcus's eyes. "She's lucky to have you." "I'm the lucky one," Marcus said quietly. Victoria held his gaze for a long moment. Then she reached into her purse, pulled out a business card, pressed it into his hand along with the money he'd tried to refuse. "If you ever need anything," she said. "Anything at all." Marcus looked at the card. Victoria Ashford, CEO, Ashford Properties. "Thank you," he managed. She smiled, nodded to Emma, and walked away. Marcus watched her go, noticing the town car waiting for her at the corner. Driver, tinted windows, different worlds. "Daddy?" Emma tugged his hand. "Can we still go to the park?" "Yeah, Princess, let's go." They went to the park. Emma played on the swings while Marcus sat on a bench, counting the money in his pocket. $83 total now. Enough for the school payment. Enough to breathe. He looked at Victoria's business card. "If you ever need anything." He tucked it into his wallet, already planning to forget about it. That night, after Emma was asleep, Marcus stood in their bathroom, cleaning the cut on his jaw. His reflection looked tired, broken. Melissa's words came back to him. "People like you." He thought about Victoria, the way she'd looked at Emma, the kindness in her eyes, the ease of someone for whom $80 was nothing. Different worlds. He turned off the light and went to bed. The next morning, Marcus woke to Emma shaking his shoulder. Daddy, wake up." "There are cars outside." Marcus stumbled to the window, still half asleep, then froze. 5 black SUVs lined the street, engines running, waiting. "Stay here, Princess." Marcus pulled on jeans and a shirt, heart racing. He stepped outside, Emma ignoring his command and following, clutching his hand. The center SUV's door opened. Victoria stepped out. She walked toward him with purpose, her expression unreadable. "Mr. Carter," she said, "we need to talk." Marcus swallowed. "About what?" "About yesterday. About what you did. And about what I'm going to ask you to do next." She glanced at Emma, her expression softening again. "May I speak with you privately?" Marcus looked down at Emma. "Go wait by the door, okay?" "But, please, Princess." Emma reluctantly shuffled back to the building entrance. Victoria waited until she was out of earshot. Then she took a breath, like someone about to jump off a cliff. "Yesterday you saved my life. Maybe you don't realize that, but you did. And in doing so, you reminded me that there are still people in this world who do the right thing, without expecting anything in return. People with integrity." She paused. "I need someone like that, Marcus. Desperately. I don't understand. My family is very wealthy, very powerful, and very controlling." Victoria's jaw tightened. "My grandparents, the founders of our company, made a stipulation in their will. I must be married before my 33rd birthday, or control of the company passes to my parents." Marcus stared at her. "When's your birthday?" 6 months from now." "Then why not just marry someone?" "Because every man they've introduced me to wants my money, my name, or my influence. Not me." Her voice hardened. "I've watched my parents use our wealth as a weapon my entire life. I won't hand them that power. But I also won't marry someone who sees me as a transaction." She stepped closer. "Which is why I'm asking you." Marcus's brain stuttered. "You're asking me to marry me. A business arrangement, 6 months. At the end, you'll receive $500,000. All expenses paid during the arrangement. Your daughter's school, medical costs, anything you need, covered." Marcus couldn't speak. "I know this sounds insane," Victoria continued, "but I've spent the last 24 hours researching you, Marcus Carter. Single father, 2 jobs. Never late on child support because there is no other parent. Volunteered at a soup kitchen until your schedule made it impossible. Spotless record. And yesterday you gave a stranger $40. Your last $40. Because I forced you to take it. How do you know that was my last? Because I know what desperation looks like. I saw it in your eyes even as you tried to refuse my money." Her voice gentled. "You're a good man. The only man I've met in years who wanted nothing from me. That's exactly who I need." Marcus looked back at Emma, still waiting by the door, watching them. "This is crazy," he whispered. "I know. You don't even know me. I know enough. Why would you trust me?" Victoria smiled, sad and knowing. "Because yesterday you could have taken everything in my purse and run. You were bleeding, desperate, and I couldn't have stopped you. But you handed it back and asked for nothing. That tells me everything I need to know." Marcus's mind raced. $500,000. Emma's school. Medical bills. Her future. What would this actually involve? He asked slowly. Living together. Public appearances as a married couple. Convincing my family the relationship is real. It's a performance, Marcus. One with a guaranteed end date and a life-changing payout. And after 6 months? Clean divorce. Ironclad prenup protecting both of us. You walk away with the money and your freedom. I keep my company. Marcus looked at Emma again. She waved at him. $500,000. I need to think about this. Of course. Victoria handed him another card, this one with a phone number handwritten on the back. You have until tomorrow. After that, I'll need to consider other options. She started walking back to the SUV, then paused. Marcus, your daughter is beautiful and clearly loved. Whatever you decide, know that this would give her opportunities most people only dream of. Not just the money, the education, the connections, the life she deserves. She got into the SUV. All 5 vehicles pulled away in perfect synchronization. Marcus stood there staring at the card until Emma ran up and grabbed his hand. Who was that lady, Daddy? Someone with a very strange question, Princess. That night, after Emma was asleep, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with Victoria's card in front of him. He thought about Melissa's words, about Emma's too small uniform, about the bills stacked in the drawer, about the future he couldn't give his daughter no matter how hard he worked. He thought about Victoria's eyes, the loneliness there, hidden beneath expensive confidence. He picked up his phone, dialed the number. She answered on the first ring. Marcus, I have one condition, he said. My daughter comes first, always. This arrangement, whatever it is, never puts her at risk, never confuses her. Never hurts her. Agreed. And she never finds out it's fake. As far as Emma knows, this is real. Of course. Marcus closed his eyes. Then yes, I'll do it. Silence on the other end. Then quietly. Thank you. When do we start? Tomorrow. I'll send a car at 9. We have a lot to prepare. Marcus hung up. He sat in the dark, wondering if he'd just made the best or worst decision of his life. In her bedroom, Emma slept peacefully, dreaming of dolphins, completely unaware that her father had just agreed to marry a stranger. For her. Always for her. The car that arrived at 9 the next morning wasn't just a car. It was a statement. Sleek, black, and so polished Marcus could see his reflection in the door. The driver, an older man in a perfect suit, opened the door without a word. Emma pressed her face against their apartment window. Daddy, is that for us? Marcus swallowed. Yeah, princess. That's for us. Everything happened fast after that. Too fast. Victoria had arranged movers, professional, efficient, silent. They packed Marcus and Emma's entire life into boxes within 2 hours. Not that there was much to pack. Clothes, Emma's toys, photos. The essentials of two people who'd learned to live with less. Emma bounced around the apartment, half excited, half confused. Are we really going to live in a big house? For a while, Marcus said carefully. Miss Victoria needs some help, and we're going to stay with her. Like roommates? Something like that. The lie tasted bitter, but Emma was smiling and that mattered more. The drive to Victoria's estate took 40 minutes. They left the city behind, wound through neighborhoods that got progressively cleaner, quieter, wealthier. Gates appeared. Actual gates with security guards. When they finally pulled through Victoria's entrance, Emma gasped. The house, mansion really, stretched across the hilltop like something from a movie. White columns, manicured gardens, a fountain in the circular driveway that probably cost more than Marcus had earned in his entire life. Daddy, Emma whispered. Is this a castle? Close enough, Marcus whispered back. Victoria waited at the front door, dressed more casually than yesterday. Jeans, a silk blouse, hair pulled back. Still impossibly elegant, still terrifying. She smiled when she saw Emma. Welcome home. Emma hid behind Marcus's leg. Victoria's smile faltered slightly. Marcus recognized the look. Someone who didn't know how to talk to children trying very hard to figure it out. Would you like to see your room? Victoria asked Emma gently. Emma peeked out. I get my own room. Of course, a girl needs her own space. Marcus felt Emma's hand relax in his. Okay. Victoria led them inside. The foyer alone was bigger than their entire apartment. Marble floors, a chandelier that looked like frozen starlight, paintings that might have been actual famous paintings. Emma's eyes went wide. Wow. They climbed a staircase, an actual curved staircase, to the second floor. Victoria opened a door, and Emma ran inside. The room was enormous. 4-poster bed, a desk by the window, bookshelves, a toy chest. Everything decorated in soft purples and whites. I had the design team work overnight, Victoria said quietly to Marcus. I wasn't sure what she'd like, so I tried to keep it neutral. If she wants to change anything, it's perfect, Marcus said, watching Emma examine every corner with wonder. Look, Daddy, I have a whole bookshelf and a window seat. Emma climbed onto the cushioned bench beneath the bay window. I can see forever, Victoria smiled. A real smile this time. I'm glad you like it. Thank you, Miss Victoria, Emma said, suddenly shy again. You can call me Victoria, or Vicky if you'd like. Emma considered this seriously. Vicky sounds nice. Something shifted in Victoria's expression. Warmth, surprise, like she'd just received an unexpected gift. Your room is next door, Victoria said to Marcus. Connected by a hallway so Emma can find you easily. They left Emma exploring and walked to Marcus's room. It was smaller than Emma's, Victoria's consideration showing again, but still massive by his standards. King-sized bed, an actual sitting area, bathroom with a shower that looked like it belonged in a spa. This is too much, Marcus said. It's what we agreed on. I mean, he gestured helplessly. All of this, Emma's room, the movers, we could have managed with less. Victoria studied him for a moment. Marcus, for the next 6 months, you're my husband. At least in public. That means you need to look and live the part. Not just for my family's benefit, for Emma's safety. If anyone suspects this is fake, they'll dig into your life. They'll use your daughter as leverage. The words hit like cold water. What do you mean, leverage? My parents are ruthless. If they think this marriage threatens their control of the company, they'll find ways to discredit you, question your fitness as a father, drag up any vulnerability. Her voice hardened. The best protection is making this look so legitimate they have no angle to attack. Marcus felt sick. You said she wouldn't be at risk, and she won't be, if we do this right. Victoria softened slightly. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. My family operates in a world where image is currency. We need to sell this completely. How? We start with the basics. Tomorrow we announce our engagement. Quick courthouse wedding next week to avoid the media circus. Then we live as husband and wife, public appearances, family dinners, the whole performance. Marcus sat on the edge of the bed. Emma's going to have questions. Then we answer them, together. Victoria sat beside him, maintaining careful distance. We tell her we fell in love quickly. Adult relationships are complicated. She doesn't need to understand all the details. What matters is that she feels safe and loved. She always feels loved, Marcus said quietly. I know. Victoria's voice was gentle. I could see that yesterday. The way she looks at you, that's trust. That's security. We're not going to take that away from her. They sat in silence for a moment. Why me? Marcus asked finally. Really? You could have hired an actor. Someone trained for this. Victoria considered the question. Because actors perform. You just are. Yesterday, when you handed back my purse, you weren't trying to be noble. You were just being yourself. That's what I need. Someone who won't get lost in the performance. Someone real. She stood, brushing off her jeans. Get settled. Dinner's at 7. Nothing formal. Just us. I thought we should practice being comfortable around each other before we face my family. She left Marcus alone in his new room. He lay back on the bed, softer than anything he'd ever slept on, and stared at the ceiling. 6 months. He could do this for 6 months. The first week was surreal. Marcus and Victoria signed papers. So many papers. The prenup alone was 30 pages. Then the marriage certificate at the courthouse, a clerk as their only witness. No rings yet, no kiss, just signatures and a date that made everything official. Emma started at a new school. Private, exclusive. The kind of place where other parents drove cars Marcus couldn't pronounce. She wore a uniform that actually fit, brought home homework about geography and violin practice. She seemed happy, but she kept asking questions. Daddy, are you and Vicky married now? Yes, princess. Did you have a wedding? A small one, very simple. Will you have a big one later? Marcus exchanged glances with Victoria across the dinner table. Maybe. Emma seemed satisfied. For now. Living with Victoria was strange. She kept odd hours. Worked late, woke early, spent hours on phone calls in her office. Marcus tried to stay out of her way, focusing on Emma, adjusting to this bizarre new normal. But there were moments. Victoria would emerge from her office at midnight, find Marcus in the kitchen making tea because he couldn't sleep. They'd sit at the island, talking quietly about nothing important. Her day, his concerns about Emma, the weather, safe topics. One night, 2 weeks in, Victoria asked, "Does she miss your old place?" Marcus considered this. "I don't think so. She misses Mrs. Chen from upstairs, and the park near our building, but she's adapting. Children are resilient." They are. Marcus studied Victoria over his teacup. "You're good with her, you know. Better than you think." Victoria's expression flickered. "I don't know anything about children. You listen to her. That's the most important part." Victoria was quiet for a moment. "My parents never listened to me. They told me who to be, what to want, how to behave. I learned early that my opinions didn't matter. Only their plans for me did. Is that why you're fighting for the company?" "Partly." She traced the rim of her cup. "But mostly because if they win, they'll destroy everything my grandparents built. They see the company as a cash cow to bleed dry. I see it as something worth protecting." "Sounds lonely." Victoria met his eyes. "It is." The moment stretched between them, fragile, honest. Then Victoria stood. "I should sleep. Big meeting tomorrow. Good night." "Good night, Marcus." She left and Marcus sat alone in the kitchen, feeling like he'd just glimpsed something she rarely showed anyone. The turning point came 3 weeks into their arrangement. Emma had been struggling with math homework for an hour, frustration building with each wrong answer. Marcus tried to help, but fractions had never been his strength. Victoria appeared in the doorway of Emma's room, still dressed in her work clothes. "Everything okay?" Emma looked up, eyes red. "I'm stupid." "You're not stupid," Marcus said firmly. "I can't do fractions, everyone else gets it, and I'm just—" "Slow down." Victoria crossed the room, pulled up a chair next to Emma. "Can I see?" Emma slid the worksheet over reluctantly. Victoria studied it for a moment, then grabbed a blank piece of paper. "Okay, fractions are just pieces of a whole, right? Like if you have a pizza, my teacher already tried pizza. What about a treasure map?" Emma blinked. "What?" Victoria started drawing. "Pretend this is a map to hidden treasure, but it's been torn into pieces, 4 pieces. Each piece is 1/4 of the map. You need 3 pieces to find the treasure, so you need 3/4. Make sense?" Emma leaned closer, studying the drawing. "So if I have 2 pieces, you have 2/4, and if you get one more, 3/4. Emma's face lit up. "I can find the treasure." Victoria smiled. "Exactly." For the next 30 minutes, Victoria sat with Emma, turning each fraction problem into a story. Pirates, explorers, secret codes. Emma stopped crying, started laughing, solved problems she'd thought were impossible. Marcus watched from the doorway, something warm and unexpected spreading through his chest. When Emma finally finished the worksheet, she threw her arms around Victoria. "Thank you, Vicky." Victoria froze, then slowly, carefully hugged her back. "You're welcome, sweetheart." Emma pulled back, grinning. "You're good at math." "I'm good at stories," Victoria corrected gently. "You're good at math. You just needed to see it differently." After Emma went to bed, Marcus found Victoria in the kitchen pouring wine. "That was incredible," he said. Victoria handed him a glass. It was just fractions. It was more than that. Marcus accepted the wine. "You made her believe in herself. That's teaching." Victoria sipped her wine, looking uncomfortable with the praise. "I had a tutor who did that for me once, when my parents were too busy to notice I was failing chemistry. She didn't just teach me formulas, she made me see why they mattered. I guess I remembered. Emma adores you. She's easy to adore." Victoria's voice was soft. "She's so genuine. Everything she feels, she just shows it. No filters, no performance. I don't think I've been like that since I was 5. You could be." "Could I?" Victoria met his eyes, something vulnerable there. "I don't even know who I am under all the armor, Marcus. I've been playing the role of Victoria Ashford, CEO, heiress, ice queen, for so long, I'm not sure there's anything else underneath." Marcus set his wine down. "There is. I've seen her." "When?" "When you drew that treasure map. When you hugged Emma back. When you sit in this kitchen at midnight and forget to be perfect." He paused. "She's still in there, Victoria. You just stopped letting her out." Victoria stared at him, something shifting in her expression. "You're a good man, Marcus Carter. I'm just telling the truth." They stood there, the kitchen quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator, the space between them charged with something neither wanted to name. "I should go to bed," Victoria said finally. "Yeah, me too." But neither of them moved. Then Marcus's phone buzzed. He checked it, frowned. "Emma's school, there's a parent mixer next Friday. They're asking if we'll attend." Victoria straightened, business mode sliding back into place. "We should. Good opportunity to establish us as a couple publicly." "You sure?" "It's exactly the kind of thing married parents do. Plus, it'll help Emma feel settled, seeing us interact with the other families." Marcus nodded, already dreading it. The mixer was held in the school's reception hall. Chandeliers, catered food, parents in designer clothes discussing summer homes and stock portfolios. Marcus wore a suit Victoria had bought him. It fit perfectly. He still felt like an imposter. Victoria moved through the crowd with practiced ease, her hand resting lightly on Marcus's arm. To anyone watching, they looked like what they were supposed to be, a married couple, comfortable with each other, navigating a social obligation together. But Marcus felt every eye on them. The questions, the calculations. "Is that Victoria Ashford? I heard she got married, didn't even announce it. Who's the husband?" Melissa Whitmore appeared like a shark sensing blood. Trevor beside her, already smirking. "Marcus!" Melissa's voice was too loud, too bright. "What a surprise seeing you here. I didn't know you'd transferred Emma." Marcus forced a smile. "Fresh start." Melissa's eyes landed on Victoria. "And you are?" Victoria extended her hand. Victoria Ashford, Marcus's wife. The room seemed to freeze. Melissa's smile became brittle. Wife? I had no idea Marcus was seeing anyone. It happened quickly, Victoria said smoothly. Sometimes you just know. How? Romantic. Melissa's eyes narrowed. Ashford, as in Ashford Properties? That's right. The calculation was instant. Marcus could see it happening behind Melissa's eyes. The recalibration, the sudden understanding that Marcus was no longer someone she could dismiss. Well, Melissa said, voice tight. Congratulations. Trevor, say hello. Trevor looked up at Marcus, his smirk gone. Hi. Hey, Trevor. Melissa steered Trevor away quickly, throwing one last glance over her shoulder. Victoria leaned close to Marcus. That's the woman from the school, the one who humiliated you. How did you? I do my research. Victoria's voice was ice. And I don't forget people who hurt the ones I care about. The ones I care about. The words hung between them. Before Marcus could respond, Emma ran up, pulling Sarah, the friend she'd mentioned, behind her. Daddy, Vicky, this is Sarah. Can she come over sometime? Sarah's parents approached, introducing themselves. Normal conversation, normal smiles, like Marcus belonged here. Maybe for tonight he did. The evening continued. More introductions, more performances. By the time they got home, Marcus was exhausted. Emma was already asleep in the car. Marcus carried her inside, Victoria opening doors, pulling back Emma's bed covers. They stood in the doorway together, watching Emma sleep. She was happy tonight, Victoria whispered. She was. Because of you. Because of both of us, Marcus corrected. Victoria looked at him, something unguarded in her expression. This is starting to feel real. I know. That's dangerous. I know that too. They stood there too close, the line between performance and reality blurring. Victoria stepped back. Good night, Marcus. Good night. She left, and Marcus stayed, watching his daughter sleep in a room that looked like a fairy tale, wondering when exactly he'd started forgetting this was all pretend. The next weeks blurred together, family dinners that felt less awkward, Emma's laughter filling the house. Victoria working from home more, claiming it was more efficient, but Marcus suspected it was because Emma would burst into her office with drawings, and Victoria never sent her away. Marcus fell into a routine. Morning runs through the estate, breakfast with Emma, helping with homework, evening walks with Victoria, discussing nothing and everything. They were careful, never touched beyond what was necessary for public appearances, never crossed the line, but the line was getting harder to see. One night, Marcus found Victoria on the back terrace, staring at the city lights below. Can't sleep? He asked. Too much on my mind. He stood beside her. Want to talk about it? Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life? Every day since I moved here. She smiled slightly. I meant before that. Like you're following a script someone wrote without asking if it's what you wanted. Sometimes. Marcus thought about it. But then Emma laughs and I remember, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Must be nice, knowing your purpose. You have purpose. The company is a chain. Victoria's voice was bitter, one I've worn since birth. Sometimes I wonder what I would have been if I'd been born someone else. Somewhere else. What would you have wanted to be? Victoria looked surprised by the question, like no one had ever asked. A teacher, maybe. Or an artist. Something that mattered on a human level, not a corporate one. It's not too late, isn't it? She turned to face him. I'm 32 years old, Marcus. I've spent my entire life building this empire. Walking away now would mean everything was for nothing, or it would mean you finally get to choose. Victoria stared at him, something raw in her expression. You make it sound simple. It's not, but neither is living a life you don't want. The space between them felt electric. Marcus, Emma's voice cut through the moment. Daddy, I had a bad dream. They turned. Emma stood in the doorway, clutching her stuffed dolphin. Marcus crossed to her immediately. It's okay, princess. I'm here. But Emma was looking at Victoria. Vicky, can you come too? Victoria's expression softened. Of course. They walked Emma back to her room, sat on either side of her bed. What was the dream about? Marcus asked. You left, Emma said quietly. Both of you. And I was alone. Marcus's heart broke. That's not going to happen. Promise? Marcus glanced at Victoria. She held his gaze, something determined there. Promise, they said together. Emma relaxed, clutching her dolphin. Okay. They stayed until she fell asleep, then stood together in the hallway, the weight of that promise heavy between them. We shouldn't make promises we can't keep, Victoria whispered. Then let's keep it. Victoria looked at him, searching. What are you saying? Marcus didn't know. The words came anyway. I'm saying 6 months suddenly doesn't feel like enough time. Victoria's breath caught. Marcus, I know this is supposed to be temporary. I know the rules. But when I watch you with Emma, when we talk in the kitchen at midnight, when you look at me like you're looking at me right now, he stopped. I forget this is an arrangement. We can't. I know. This ends in 6 months. Clean break. That was the deal. I know. But they stood there, inches apart, neither pulling away. Victoria raised her hand, almost touched his face, then dropped it. This is a mistake. Probably. We're going to ruin everything. Maybe. Marcus. The doorbell rang. They jumped apart like guilty teenagers. Marcus checked his watch. It's almost 11. Who? Victoria's face went pale. My parents. I forgot. I told them they could drop by this week to meet you. I didn't think they'd come this late. What do I do? Act like my husband. Victoria grabbed his hand, squeezed once. And whatever they say, don't let them see you rattled. She pulled him toward the stairs. The game was about to get much more complicated, because Richard and Camille Ashford weren't just visiting. They were hunting, and Marcus had just become their prey. Richard Ashford stood in the foyer like a man conducting an invasion. Tall, silver-haired, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Marcus's old car. His eyes swept the space with the calculated assessment of someone who measured everything in terms of value and weakness. Camille Ashford was smaller, sharper, diamond necklace, perfect posture, the kind of smile that cut like a scalpel. They both stared at Marcus like he was something unpleasant they'd found on their shoe. Mother, father. Victoria's voice was carefully neutral. This is Marcus, my husband. Marcus extended his hand. Mr. and Mrs. Ashford. It's good to finally meet you. Richard ignored the hand. You got married without telling us. It happened quickly, Victoria said, clearly. Camille's eyes traveled over Marcus, cataloging every detail. Where did you two meet? Downtown, Marcus said. I helped Victoria when she was in trouble. How noble. Camille's tone suggested it was anything but. And what is it you do, Marcus? I'm between opportunities right now, focusing on family. Richard's expression hardened. So you're unemployed. I'm a father first. How quaint. Richard finally looked at Victoria. May we speak privately? Anything you need to say, you can say in front of Marcus. Very well. Richard's voice dropped to ice. What were you thinking? Victoria's jaw tightened. I was thinking I wanted to marry someone I chose, not someone you arranged. Someone you chose, Richard repeated slowly. A man with no job, no prospects, no family connections. A good man, Victoria interrupted, which is more than I can say for the corporate climbers you've been throwing at me for years. Camille stepped forward. Darling, we understand you wanted to rebel, make a point. But this, she gestured vaguely at Marcus. This is embarrassing for all of us. Marcus felt anger building. I'm standing right here. Yes, we've noticed. Camille's smile was venomous. Tell me, Marcus, how long have you been planning this? How long did it take you to realize my daughter was worth $500 billion? I don't care about her money. Richard laughed, cold, humorless. Everyone cares about money, especially people who don't have any. That's enough, Victoria said sharply. Is it? Richard turned on her. Do you have any idea what the board is saying? What the media will do when they find out you married a... He stopped himself. Say it, Marcus said quietly. Finish that sentence. Richard met his eyes. A nobody. The word hung in the air like poison. Victoria moved between them. Get out. We're not finished. Yes, you are. Victoria's voice shook with rage. You came into my home and insulted my husband. You don't get to stay after that. Camille's expression shifted to false concern. Victoria, sweetheart, we're only trying to protect you. This man, we know nothing about him. For all we know, he could be dangerous. He's the least dangerous person I've ever met. You've known him for what? A month? Richard stepped closer. And you're willing to risk everything. The company, Your reputation, your future, for someone you barely know? I know him better than I've ever known any of the men you've approved of. Because he's good in bed, Camille's voice dripped disdain. That fades, darling. Then you're left with someone who can't navigate your world, can't hold a conversation at a board dinner, can't. Stop! Marcus's voice cut through. You've made your point. You think I'm not good enough for your daughter, you're probably right. But Victoria chose me anyway, so either accept that or leave. Richard's eyes narrowed. Brave words from a man living in my daughter's house. It's my house, Victoria said coldly. Not yours. And if you can't be civil, you're not welcome in it. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Richard pulled out his phone, tapped something, held it up to show Victoria. That's Marcus Carter, age 34. 2 years of community college, dropped out. Worked as a delivery driver and night janitor. Previously lived in a one-bedroom apartment in the South District, one of the worst neighborhoods in the city. Single father to Emma Carter, age 6. Mother died in childbirth. He lowered the phone. I had my investigator compile this in less than an hour. Do you really think the rest of the world won't dig deeper? Won't find every embarrassing detail of his past? Won't use his daughter as a weapon against you? Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. Don't you dare bring Emma into this. Why not? Richard's smile was cruel. She's relevant. A 6-year-old girl suddenly thrust into wealth and privilege? What happens when the media starts asking questions? When they show up at her school? When they photograph her playing in your garden? You wouldn't, Victoria whispered. I wouldn't need to. The vultures will do it themselves once this marriage goes public. Richard pocketed his phone. But I could protect her, protect both of them. If you end this farce now and do what's right for the company. Victoria's face went white. Camille moved in, voice soft. Sweetheart, we're not the enemy. We want what's best for you, but this man, he doesn't belong in your world. And deep down, you know that. She turned to Marcus. You seem like a decent person, a loving father. So ask yourself, is this really what's best for your daughter? Being dragged into a life of scrutiny and judgment, being used as leverage in a game she doesn't understand. Marcus couldn't breathe. Think about it, Camille continued. Right now, you could walk away. Take a generous settlement, enough to give Emma everything she needs. No scandal, no media circus, no putting her through the nightmare that's coming. Just a quiet separation, and a chance for her to have a normal life. Stop manipulating him, Victoria said, but Marcus heard the fear in her voice. Richard checked his watch. We'll give you 48 hours. End this marriage quietly, or we start talking to the press. Your choice. They walked out, leaving destruction in their wake. Victoria stood frozen, hands shaking. Marcus's mind was racing. Emma, the media, photographers at her school, her face in tabloids, her classmates asking questions she couldn't answer. Marcus, Victoria started. They're right. What? Marcus turned to her. About Emma, about the danger. I didn't think. I was so focused on the money, on giving her opportunities. I didn't consider what else I'd be exposing her to. They're bluffing, trying to scare you. Are they? Marcus's voice rose. Your father had a complete background check on me in an hour. How long until someone digs up every mistake I've ever made? Every time I couldn't pay rent? Every humiliation? And Emma, she'll be right there in the middle of it. We can protect her. How? By hiding her? By teaching her to fear cameras and strangers? She's 6 years old, Victoria. She should be worried about math homework and making friends, not whether someone's photographing her at the park. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. So what are you saying? Marcus felt something breaking inside him. I'm saying maybe your parents are right. Maybe this was a mistake. You don't mean that, don't I? Marcus ran his hands through his hair. Look at us. We're from completely different worlds. I can barely navigate a parent mixer without feeling like an imposter. How am I supposed to stand beside you at board meetings, corporate dinners? How long before everyone realizes I don't belong? You belong because I say you belong. That's not how the world works. Marcus's voice cracked. I'm a former janitor playing dress-up in expensive suits, and everyone knows it. Your parents know it. The other parents at Emma's school know it. I know it. I don't care what they think. But I do. The words exploded out of him. Because every judgment they make about me falls on Emma too. Every whisper, every sneer, every article. She'll bear the weight of that. And I can't. I won't do that to her. Victoria grabbed his arms. Marcus, listen to me. My parents are masters of psychological warfare. They found your weak spot and they're exploiting it. Don't let them win. This isn't about winning. Marcus pulled away. This is about Emma's well-being, about not being selfish enough to risk her happiness for... He stopped. For what? Victoria's voice was barely a whisper. Finish that sentence. For us. For whatever this is becoming. For the possibility that this could be real. But he couldn't say that. Couldn't make this about his own feelings when Emma's safety was at stake. I need to think, he said instead. I need space.
Please,
Marcus,
I need
please. Victoria stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Then she nodded once and left. Marcus stood alone in the foyer where Victoria's parents had torn his world apart with surgical precision. They were right. He didn't belong here, and staying would only hurt the people he cared about most. The next morning, Marcus found a lawyer. A good one, recommended by a legal aid service. The man listened to his story, reviewed the prenup, and gave him the news. You can walk away any time. The contract specifies a minimum 6-month period for full payout, but there's a clause for early termination. You'd forfeit the $500,000, but you'd receive $50,000 as a settlement. More than enough to get back on your feet. $50,000. Not life-changing, but enough. And Emma? Marcus asked. If I leave, what happens to her? Nothing legally. You're her father. Your housing situation might change, but your custody is unaffected. Marcus nodded numbly. The lawyer leaned forward. Can I speak off the record? Sure. Whatever you're running from, make sure it's worth it. Because $50,000 will run out. But walking away from something real, that stays with you forever. Marcus left without deciding. He drove aimlessly for hours, finally ending up at their old park. The one near their former apartment. The swings Emma used to play on. He sat on a bench, head in his hands. His phone buzzed. Victoria, we need to talk. Please. He didn't respond. Another text. At least tell me you're okay. Marcus stared at the screen, then typed, I'm at the old park. Near our apartment. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Stay there. I'm coming. 20 minutes later, Victoria's car pulled up. She got out, still in her work clothes, hair slightly disheveled. She'd been crying. She sat beside him on the bench. For a long moment, neither spoke. I fired my father, Victoria said finally. Marcus looked at her. What? From the board. Emergency vote this morning. He's no longer involved in company operations. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. My mother resigned in protest, so they're both out. Victoria, they threatened you, threatened Emma. I won't tolerate that, not from anyone. She turned to face him. I know you're scared. I know this situation is impossible, but don't let them win by making you believe you're not enough. I'm not, though. Marcus's voice broke. I'm not enough for you. Not enough for this life. And I'm terrified I'm not enough for Emma anymore either. That's the fear talking. The same fear they planted. No, it's reality. Marcus stood, pacing. Emma deserves better than this. Better than a father who's drowning in a world he doesn't understand. Better than being a pawn in your family's corporate warfare. So you're just going to leave. It wasn't a question. It's the right thing to do. The right thing. Victoria stood too, anger flashing. The right thing is fighting for the people you love, not running because it's hard. I'm not running. Yes, you are. Her voice echoed across the empty park. You're doing exactly what my parents wanted. Proving to yourself that you don't deserve happiness. That people like you don't get to have good things. The words hit too close. Emma needs stability, Marcus said weakly. Emma needs you. The real you. Not the version that's convinced he's not good enough. Victoria stepped closer. And I need you too. Marcus's breath caught. I wasn't supposed to say that, Victoria continued, voice shaking. This was supposed to stay professional, a business arrangement. But somewhere between treasure maps and midnight conversations and watching you be the best father I've ever seen, I forgot to protect myself. And now I'm standing here begging you not to leave, and I know I have no right because this was never supposed to be real. Victoria, I love you. The words came out broken, desperate. I love you, Marcus Carter. I love how you put Emma first in every decision. I love how you see me. Really see me. Not the CEO or the heiress, just me. I love that you gave a stranger your last $40 because it was the right thing to do. And I love that you're terrified right now, because it means you care. It means this matters. Tears streamed down her face. But if you need to leave to protect Emma, I understand. I'll sign whatever papers you want. I'll make sure you both have everything you need. And I'll let you go. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You put them first. Marcus stood frozen, her words tearing him apart. Just promise me one thing, Victoria whispered. Promise you're leaving because it's truly what's best. Not because you're scared. Not because my parents convinced you that you're not worthy. Make sure it's the right reason. She waited. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. His phone rang. Emma's school, emergency contact. Marcus's heart stopped. He answered. Hello? Mr. Carter? This is Principal Henderson. I'm calling because Emma had an incident today. She's okay, but we need you to come pick her up. What happened? She got into a physical altercation with another student. It's quite out of character for her. Can you come now? I'm on my way. He hung up, looked at Victoria. Emma's in trouble at school. Let's go. They drove in tense silence. Victoria's driver navigated traffic while Marcus's mind spun with worst-case scenarios. When they arrived, Principal Henderson led them to her office. Emma sat in the waiting chair, tear-streaked face, holding her backpack like a shield. Princess, what happened? Emma looked up at Marcus, then at Victoria. Her lip trembled. Trevor said you were leaving us. He said his mom heard you were getting divorced because you don't really love Vicky. He said you only married her for money and now you're going to abandon me again like... She couldn't finish. Just sobbed. Marcus pulled her into his arms. Like who, Emma? Like Mommy did. The words gutted him. Emma, baby, your mommy didn't abandon you. She died and left me. And now you're going to leave too. Everyone leaves. Marcus looked at Victoria. She was crying silently. I punched Trevor, Emma continued. He wouldn't stop saying mean things. He said Vicky was just pretending to like me, that nobody could really love us because we're poor and broken and... Stop. Marcus held her tighter. None of that is true. Then why were you fighting? Why did Vicky's parents come and yell? Why were you crying last night when you thought I was asleep? Emma pulled back, looking between them with devastating clarity. You're going to leave, aren't you? You're going to take me away, and we'll never see Vicky again. Emma, Victoria started. Don't lie to me. Emma's voice broke. Adults always lie. They say everything's fine and then they leave anyway. The three of them sat in the principal's office. Broken, exposed, all pretense stripped away. Principal Henderson cleared her throat. I'll give you some privacy. She left. Emma looked at her father. Do you love Vicky? Marcus's throat closed. Because I do, Emma continued. I love her so much. She makes treasure maps and helps with homework and she looks at me like I matter. Like I'm not just the weird kid with the dead mom and the poor dad. She makes me feel special. She turned to Victoria. And you love Daddy, right? I see how you look at him like he's the best person in the whole world. Victoria wiped her tears. He is. Then why are you giving up? Emma's voice was small, lost. If you love each other and I love both of you, why can't we just be a family, a real one? The question hung in the air. Marcus looked at Victoria. Victoria looked at Marcus. And in that moment, they both realized they'd been so afraid of getting hurt, so focused on protecting themselves. They'd forgotten what was actually at stake. Not a business arrangement, not a performance, but three people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their separate loneliness and built something real. You're right, Marcus said finally. We've been stupid. Emma blinked. Really? Really? Marcus took Victoria's hand. I got scared. Your grandparents said some cruel things, and I let them make me believe I wasn't good enough, that I'd only hurt you and Vicky by staying. That's dumb, Emma said bluntly. It is dumb. Marcus squeezed Victoria's hand. Because the truth is, I love Victoria too. I love her so much it terrifies me. And I was about to throw that away because I was too afraid to fight for it. Victoria's breath hitched. Marcus, I'm not leaving, he said firmly. Not now, not ever. Your parents can threaten all they want. The media can say whatever they want. But I'm done running. I'm done letting fear make my decisions. He looked at Emma. We're a family, a real one, if you want us to be. Emma launched herself at him, arms around his neck. Yes, I want that. Victoria joined the embrace. the three of them holding each other in a principal's office like it was the only safe place left in the world. "I'm sorry I punched Trevor," Emma mumbled. "You're grounded," Marcus said. "But also I'm a little proud." Emma giggled through her tears. They pulled apart, wiping faces, taking shaky breaths. "So what now?" Victoria asked. Marcus stood, pulled her up with him. "Now we fight, together, and we show your parents, show everyone, that we're not going anywhere." Victoria smiled, real, genuine, unguarded. "Together." "Together," Emma echoed. They left the school hand in hand, a family forged not by blood or contract but by choice. But the battle wasn't over, because Richard and Camille Ashford weren't the type to accept defeat quietly, and they just made their opening move. 3 days later, Marcus woke to his phone exploding with notifications. Messages, calls, news alerts. He grabbed his phone, opened the first alert, and felt his stomach drop. Billionaire heiress's secret marriage. Victoria Ashford, wed former janitor in courthouse ceremony. Below the headline, photos. Him and Victoria leaving the courthouse. Emma playing in the garden. Their old apartment building with an arrow pointing to his window. The article detailed everything. His employment history, his financial struggles, Emma's mother's death. Every private, painful detail laid bare for the world to see. And at the bottom, a quote from anonymous sources close to the family. "This marriage is clearly a transaction." Marcus Carter targeted Victoria for her money, using his daughter as leverage to manipulate a lonely woman desperate for family. It's predatory and sad. Marcus's hands shook. Victoria burst into his room, her own phone clutched tight. "I'm so sorry. They leaked everything. My parents, they went to the press." "It's everywhere," Marcus whispered. "I know, I'm handling it. My lawyers are—" "Emma." Marcus stood abruptly. "If this is online, the other kids will—" His phone rang. The school. "Mr. Carter, we're experiencing a situation. Several news vans are in our parking lot. Some parents are demanding we—" Principal Henderson paused. "I think you should come get Emma, for her safety." Marcus felt his world collapsing. This was exactly what he'd feared. Emma, in the crossfire, being used as a weapon. He looked at Victoria, saw his own horror reflected in her eyes. "I'm coming," he told the principal, then hung up. "Marcus," Victoria started, "get dressed. We're going together," because running had only made things worse. Now it was time to face the consequences of choosing love in a world that saw everything as a transaction, and God help anyone who stood in their way. The news vans surrounded the school like predators circling prey. Cameras, reporters shouting questions, parents pulling their children away as if scandal was contagious. Marcus and Victoria pushed through the chaos, Victoria's security team clearing a path. Flashes exploded in their faces, microphones thrust forward. "Marcus, is it true you targeted Victoria for her money?" "Victoria! Are you being manipulated? What about the child? Is this a safe environment for her?" Victoria's hand tightened on Marcus's. They didn't answer, didn't stop, just kept moving until they reached Principal Henderson's office. Emma sat inside, small and terrified, holding her backpack like armor. When she saw them, she burst into tears. Marcus dropped to his knees, pulling her close. "I've got you, princess, I've got you." "They were saying mean things," Emma sobbed. "Taking pictures. Sarah's mom wouldn't let her talk to me. Trevor said, he said you only married Vicky for money. That you don't really love us." Victoria knelt beside them. "That's not true, sweetheart, none of it." "Then why are they saying it?" "Because the world is cruel. Because people destroy what they don't understand. Because love isn't profitable enough to be believed." But Marcus couldn't say that to a 6-year-old. "Because some people can't imagine doing something good without a selfish reason," he said instead. "They don't understand that sometimes people just love each other. That's all this is, Emma. Love." Principal Henderson cleared her throat. "Mr. Carter, Mrs. Ashford, I need to be honest with you. Several board members are concerned about the media attention. They're suggesting Emma might be more comfortable at a different institution." Victoria's head snapped up. "Are you expelling her?" "Not expelling. Suggesting a transfer. For everyone's comfort." "Everyone's comfort," Victoria repeated slowly. "You mean the comfort of parents who don't want their children associating with scandal?" Henderson looked away. I'm just relaying the message. Marcus felt rage building. But before he could speak, Emma pulled back from his embrace. I don't want to go to a different school, she said quietly. I like it here. I have friends. Why should I have to leave because people are being mean? Her voice, small but firm, cut through everything. You're right, Victoria said. You shouldn't have to leave. And you won't. She stood, facing Henderson with the full force of her authority. Emma Carter stays enrolled. Any board member who has a problem with that can take it up with me personally. Remind them, the Ashford Foundation donated $3 million to this school last year. I'd hate to reconsider that commitment because of discrimination against a 6-year-old child. Henderson paled. I'll relay that message. You do that. Victoria extended her hand to Emma. Come on, sweetheart. Let's go home. They left through a side exit, security creating a barrier, but the damage was done. Emma had seen the cameras, heard the accusations, felt the judgment. The ride home was silent. That night, after Emma finally fell asleep, exhausted from crying, Marcus found Victoria in her office, surrounded by papers, laptop open, phone pressed to her ear. I don't care what the board thinks, she was saying. Kill the story, or I kill the advertising contract. Your choice. She hung up, immediately dialed another number. It's Victoria. Yes, I saw it. I want a retraction published by morning or I'm pulling our account. She hung up, noticed Marcus. I'm trying to contain this. It's not working, is it? Victoria's shoulders slumped. No. My parents planted the story with every major outlet. By tomorrow, it'll be national news, maybe international. Marcus sank into a chair. Emma can't go through this. She's 6 years old. She doesn't understand why people are being cruel. She just knows she's different now. Tainted. She's not. That's how she'll feel. Marcus's voice cracked. I did this to her. I brought her into this world and now she's paying the price. Victoria crossed to him, grabbed his face in both hands. Stop. You didn't do this. My parents did. And we're going to fight back. How? They own the narrative. We can't compete with that. Can't we? Something fierce entered Victoria's eyes. They control the media, but they don't control the truth. And they definitely don't control me. She grabbed her phone, started typing. What are you doing? Fighting back. My way. She hit send, then turned her laptop around to show Marcus. It was a post on her personal social media, the account she rarely used, but that had millions of followers because of her name. The post contained a photo, Marcus and Emma at the old park, taken months ago on his phone. Emma was mid-laugh, Marcus looking at her with pure adoration, raw, unfiltered, real. The caption read, This is Marcus Carter, former delivery driver, former janitor, current love of my life. 3 months ago, he gave me his last $40 after chasing down a man who robbed me. He was bleeding, broke and desperate. But he still refused my money until I forced it into his hand. Because that's who he is. Someone who helps strangers even when he can barely help himself. People are calling our marriage a transaction. They're right, just not the way they think. I needed someone real. Someone who saw me as a person, not a balance sheet. And Marcus needed security for his daughter. We made a deal, get married, stay together 6 months, walk away. But something unexpected happened. We fell in love. Not because of money or convenience, but because Marcus showed me what real sacrifice looks like. Because his daughter taught me how to be gentle. Because in their small, scrappy little family, I found what my billions could never buy. Belonging. So yes, we got married fast. Yes, he needed financial help. Yes, I needed an escape from a life of corporate arrangements. But what we found was something neither of us were looking for. Each other. My parents leaked those stories because they can't accept that their daughter chose love over legacy. They're calling Marcus a gold digger. I'm calling him the best man I've ever met. Judge us if you want. We'll survive. But don't you dare go after his daughter. She's 6. She's innocent. And she's mine now. This is my family. By choice. And I'm not letting anyone take that away. Victoria. Marcus stared at the screen. You just told the world everything. Yeah. Including the arrangement, the deal, all of it. Yes. Victoria, this could destroy my reputation? Let them talk. She grabbed his hand. I'm done hiding, done pretending. You taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness. So I'm being vulnerable. Publicly. Let's see how my parents spin this. The post went viral within minutes. Comments flooded in, some cruel, some supportive, but the narrative shifted. Reporters started asking different questions, not, is Marcus a gold digger? But why are the Ashfords trying to destroy their daughter's happiness? By morning, 3 major outlets had published sympathetic pieces. By noon, a movement had started online. Let them love. People sharing their own stories of unlikely relationships, of being judged for loving across class lines. Marcus watched the tide turn, amazed. But Emma was still scared, still hurt by what had happened at school. That afternoon, Marcus found her in her room, not playing, just sitting by the window. "Hey, princess." She didn't look at him. Marcus sat beside her. "I know this has been hard. Everyone hates us now." "Not everyone. A lot of people are saying nice things, but some people aren't." Emma finally looked at him. "Trevor's mom said we're trashy. Sarah's dad said you're using Vicky. Another mom said," her voice dropped to a whisper, "she said maybe I'd be better off in foster care." Marcus felt rage so pure it took his breath away. "Listen to me," he said, taking her small hands in his. "People are going to say cruel things sometimes, especially when they don't understand something. But their words don't define us, you know why?" Emma shook her head. "Because we know the truth. We know how much we love each other. We know that Vicky chose us, really chose us. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. And we know that every single day we wake up and choose each other again. But what if," Emma's voice broke, "what if you regret it? What if all this mean stuff makes you wish you never married Vicky?" Marcus pulled her close. "Never. Not once. Not ever. Promise? I promise. And I'll prove it." "How?" Marcus stood, extended his hand. "Come with me." He led Emma downstairs, found Victoria in her office. "We need to go somewhere. All 3 of us." Victoria looked up. "Where?" "You'll see." They drove downtown, Marcus directing. Victoria's driver followed his instructions without question. When they pulled up to the community center, the one Marcus used to volunteer at, Victoria looked confused. "What are we doing here?" Showing Emma what really matters. They went inside. The director, Maria, greeted them warmly. "Marcus, it's been too long. I know, been dealing with some stuff." He gestured to Victoria and Emma. "This is my family. I wanted them to see something." Maria smiled. "Follow me." She led them to the main hall. Dozens of people filled the space. Families, kids, volunteers. A community dinner in progress. People who had nothing sharing what little they had. Marcus crouched beside Emma. "See these people?" She nodded. "Most of them are struggling. Some are homeless. Some are hungry. Some are just lonely. But look at them. Really look." Emma watched as an elderly woman shared her bread with a teenager, as a young mother played with her kids despite obvious exhaustion, as volunteers served food with genuine smiles. "They don't have money," Marcus continued, "but they have something better. They have each other. They have community. They have love. And that's what's real, Emma, not the mean comments or the cameras or what some rich parents think. This, right here, this is what matters." Emma's eyes filled with understanding. Victoria knelt beside them. "Your dad brought us here to remind us. We don't need anyone's approval. We have each other, that's enough. But the kids at school will either understand or they won't," Marcus said gently. "But you'll know the truth. And someday, when you're older, you'll be glad you chose love over fitting in, because fitting in is easy. Loving people the world tells you not to love, that takes courage." Emma thought about this, then said, "I want to help." "Help with what?" "These people. Can we serve food?" Marcus smiled. "Absolutely." They spent the afternoon serving meals, Emma carefully ladling soup, Victoria learning how to interact without the barrier of wealth, Marcus watching his 2 favorite people discover what he'd always known. Real value has nothing to do with money. On the drive home, Emma fell asleep between them. Victoria looked at Marcus. That was perfect. She needed to see that we're not defined by other people's judgments. I needed to see it too. Victoria touched his face. "You're a good man, Marcus Carter. The world's starting to see what I saw 3 months ago. I don't care what the world sees. I care what you see. I see my husband, my partner, the man I'm going to fight beside until the day I die." Marcus kissed her, soft, real, witnessed only by their sleeping daughter and the city lights outside. But they still had one battle left. because Richard and Camille Ashford weren't finished. 2 days later, Marcus received a letter, hand-delivered by lawyer, Mr. Carter. We're prepared to offer you $2 million to dissolve this marriage and relinquish all contact with our daughter. This is our final offer. If you refuse, we will pursue legal action questioning your fitness as a father. We have evidence of financial instability, unsafe living conditions, prior apartment, and questionable judgment. We will fight for Emma's custody to be transferred to more suitable guardians. You have 48 hours to respond. Richard and Camille Ashford. Marcus's hands shook as he read. They were threatening to take Emma. Victoria found him standing frozen, letter clutched in white-knuckled fists. What is it? He handed her the letter. Her face went from confusion to fury in seconds. They can't do this. They can try. We'll fight them. My lawyers are expensive, and your parents have unlimited resources. Marcus sank into a chair. They'll drag this out for years. Emma will be questioned, evaluated, traumatized. Even if we win, she loses. So what are you saying? Marcus couldn't meet her eyes. Maybe I should take the money. Give Emma a stable life away from all this. You can't mean that. I can't let them use her as a weapon. If leaving means she's safe with us, Victoria's voice cracked. You think walking away will protect her? All it does is teach her that love isn't worth fighting for. That when things get hard, you run. I'm trying to be noble, I know. But Emma doesn't need nobility. She needs her father, her real father, not the one who gave up when the fight got too hard. The words hit like a slap. That's not fair. Isn't it? Victoria's eyes blazed. You told Emma 3 days ago that we choose each other every day, that we don't let other people's judgments define us. Were those just empty words? Of course not. Then prove it. Stop looking for excuses to run and start fighting for what you claim to love. Silence. Then Emma's voice from the doorway. Are you fighting again? They turned. Emma stood there in her pajamas, clutching her stuffed dolphin. Princess, you should be in bed. I heard yelling. Emma walked closer. Are you leaving, Daddy? Marcus felt his world cracking. Emma, because if you are, I need to tell you something first. She climbed onto his lap, looked him straight in the eye. I'm scared too. Scared of what? That this will all go away. That I'll wake up and we'll be back in the old apartment, and Vicky will just be someone we used to know. I'm scared the mean people will win and you'll decide it's too hard. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But I'm more scared of what happens if you stop fighting, because then the mean people are right. We're not strong enough. We don't deserve to be happy. She grabbed his face with her small hands, exactly like Victoria had done before. But we do deserve it, Daddy. We deserve to be a family, and families fight for each other. That's what you always told me. Marcus broke. Every wall he'd built, every excuse he'd prepared, every fear he'd let control him, it all shattered under the weight of his daughter's courage. You're right, he whispered. God, you're so right. He looked at Victoria, who was crying silently. I'm sorry. I've been so afraid of losing you both. I kept trying to leave first. Like if I controlled the ending, it would hurt less. Would it? Victoria asked. No, it would hurt exactly the same. But I'd have to live with the fact that I gave up. He stood, still holding Emma. So I'm done running. Your parents want to fight? They've got one. Victoria smiled through tears. Together? Together. Emma squeezed his neck. Can I help? Marcus and Victoria laughed. Broken, relieved, real. Yeah, Princess. You can help. The next morning, Marcus called the Ashfords' lawyer. Tell Richard and Camille I'm declining their offer. If they want to fight for custody, bring it on. But they better be prepared for the world to see exactly what kind of grandparents threaten a 6-year-old to maintain control. He hung up before the lawyer could respond. Victoria was already on her phone. I'm scheduling a press conference. We are going public, all of it. The threats, the manipulation, everything. Won't that make things messy? Absolutely. But I'm done letting them control the narrative. The press conference was scheduled for that afternoon. Marcus stood beside Victoria in front of a dozen cameras, Emma between them holding both their hands. Victoria spoke first, her voice steady. My parents have spent weeks trying to destroy my marriage. They've leaked private information, manipulated media coverage, and threatened my husband. Today they went further. They threatened to pursue custody of my stepdaughter, a 6-year-old child, as leverage to force compliance. Gasps from the reporters. Victoria continued, I'm here to say publicly, this ends now. Marcus and Emma Carter are my family. I chose them. And I will not allow anyone, even my own parents, to use fear and money as weapons against the people I love. Marcus stepped forward. I'm not rich. I don't have powerful connections. But I have something Victoria's parents don't understand. Integrity. I married Victoria because I love her. Because she's the kindest, strongest person I've ever met. And because my daughter deserves to see what real love looks like. The kind that fights. The kind that doesn't give up when things get hard. He looked down at Emma. Want to say something, Princess? Emma stepped up to the microphone and several reporters chuckled at her small voice. My name is Emma. I'm 6. And these are my parents. She pointed to Marcus and Victoria. Some people say my daddy only married Vicky for money, but that's not true. He married her because when I came home crying from school, she sat with me and helped with fractions. Because when I had nightmares, she stayed until I fell back asleep. Because she makes my daddy smile in a way I've never seen before. Emma's voice got stronger. Money doesn't make people love you, being nice does. And Vicky is the nicest person I know. So if you don't like that my daddy married her, that's okay. We don't need you to like it. We just need each other. The room was silent. Then one reporter started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room erupted in applause. Emma looked up at Marcus, confused. Did I do good? Marcus picked her up, hugging tight. You did perfect, Princess. The footage went viral immediately. Emma's speech, innocent, honest, devastating, became the clip played on every news outlet. Public opinion shifted completely. By evening, Richard and Camille issued a statement through their lawyers. After careful consideration, we've decided to support our daughter's marriage and withdraw all legal actions. We wish them happiness. Translation: We lost and we're retreating before we lose everything. Victoria read the statement, then threw her phone across the room. That's it? They threatened my family and they get to walk away with a polite statement? Let them walk away, Marcus said. Fighting isn't about revenge. It's about protecting what matters. We did that. Victoria nodded slowly. You're right, we won. No. Marcus pulled her close. We survived. There's a difference. That night after Emma was asleep, Marcus and Victoria sat on the terrace, overlooking the city. I owe you an apology, Marcus said. For what? For almost giving up, for letting fear convince me I didn't deserve this. Victoria took his hand. I almost gave up too. When you wanted to leave, I was ready to let you go. Because I thought, if he wants to leave, who am I to force him to stay? But Emma wouldn't let us give up. No, she was braver than both of us. Victoria smiled. 6 years old and she understood something we forgot. Love is a choice you make every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Marcus kissed her. Long, deep, full of everything they'd almost lost. When they pulled apart, Victoria whispered, So what happens now? We've fought the battle. We've won. The 6 months are almost up. The contract. The arrangement. The deadline they'd both forgotten about. Do you want me to stay? Marcus asked. I want you to choose, really choose. Not because of a contract or because Emma needs stability, but because you want this. Want us. For real. Marcus stood, walked to the edge of the terrace. Victoria followed. He turned to face her, took both her hands. Victoria Ashford, 3 months ago, you asked me to marry you. And I said yes because I needed to save my daughter. Because I was desperate and you offered hope. Victoria's breath caught. But somewhere between treasure maps and midnight conversations and watching you become the mother Emma always needed, I fell in love with you. The real you. Not the CEO. Not the heiress. Just Victoria. The woman who doesn't know how to relax. Who works too hard and feels too deeply. And tried to protect us even when it meant sacrificing herself. He dropped to one knee. Victoria gasped. Marcus, I'm asking you again. Not because of a contract. Not because of Emma or money or convenience, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it. Will you marry me? For real this time. Victoria pulled him to his feet. We're already married, you idiot. I know, but I want to do it right. With rings and vows and Emma as our flower girl. I want everyone to know. This isn't an arrangement. This is forever. Tears streamed down Victoria's face. Yes. God, yes. 1,000 times yes. They kissed under the stars, Two people who'd found each other in the wreckage and built something beautiful. Behind them, the terrace door opened. Emma stood there in her pajamas, grinning. "Are you guys getting married again?" Marcus laughed. "Yeah, princess, we are. Can I wear a fancy dress?" "The fanciest," Victoria promised. Emma ran out, wrapping her arms around both of them. "I love you guys." "We love you too," Marcus and Victoria said together. They stood there, a family forged not by blood or contract but by choice, and watched the city lights twinkle below. 6 months later, they renewed their vows in the same community center where Marcus had first volunteered. No media, no society guests, just the people who mattered. Maria and the volunteers, Emma's friends from school, and a handful of Victoria's employees who'd become friends. Emma walked down the aisle, throwing flower petals with aggressive enthusiasm. Marcus and Victoria stood at the altar, holding hands, wearing simple clothes instead of expensive designer outfits. The officiant smiled. "Marcus and Victoria, you've already legally married, but you're here today to make a different kind of commitment, one made not from necessity, but from love. Marcus, your vows?" Marcus looked at Victoria. "I promise to always see you. Not the version you think you should be, but the person you actually are. I promise to fight for us, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I promise to love you on the days you're strong and the days you're broken, because you taught me something. Love isn't about being perfect. It's about being real." Victoria wiped tears. "Marcus, I promise to choose you, every single day, to choose us over legacy, over money, over whatever the world thinks we should be. You showed me that vulnerability is strength, that asking for help doesn't make you weak, that love is the only thing worth protecting." She glanced at Emma. "Both of you taught me that, and I promise to never forget." The officiant grinned. "Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife, again. You may." Marcus was already kissing her. The small crowd erupted in cheers. Emma ran up, crashing into their legs. "Now we're officially a family." Officially, Marcus confirmed. They walked down the aisle together, hands linked, Emma between them chattering about the cake. Outside, Victoria's driver waited with the car, but Marcus hesitated. "What is it?" Victoria asked. Marcus looked at the community center, the place where he'd learned what really mattered. Then at the car, symbol of wealth he'd never dreamed of having. "I just realized something," he said. "A year ago, I would have looked at that car and thought it was the answer to all my problems. Now I look at it and think, it's just a car. You and Emma, you're the answer." Victoria smiled. "Wise man. I learned from the best." They got in the car. Emma fell asleep immediately, exhausted from her flower girl duties. Marcus and Victoria sat on either side of her, watching her peaceful face. "Do you ever regret it?" Marcus asked quietly. "Choosing us over your parents? The company could have been easier with their support." Victoria didn't hesitate. "Not once. They taught me to value profit over people. You taught me the opposite. I'll take real over easy any day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." The car pulled up to their home, still the mansion, though they'd started spending weekends at a small cabin they'd bought together. A place without staff or expectations, just them. Marcus carried Emma inside, tucked her into bed. She stirred slightly. "Daddy?" "Yeah, princess. Today was the best day ever. It was pretty great. Are you happy?" Marcus thought about it. Really thought about it. A year ago he'd been drowning, working double shifts, counting pennies, watching his daughter wear clothes too small because that's all he could afford. He'd been surviving, not living. Now he had a partner, a woman who saw him, really saw him, and chose him anyway. He had a daughter who was thriving, confident, loved. He had a home that felt like more than just walls and expensive furniture. He had a family. "Yeah, Emma, I'm happy. The happiest I've ever been." Emma smiled, already drifting back to sleep. "Good. You deserve it." Marcus left her room, found Victoria in their bedroom, already changed into comfortable clothes. "She asleep?" Victoria asked. "Out cold." Victoria crossed to him, wrapped her arms around his waist. "So, husband, what do we do now?" Marcus smiled. Now we live. We wake up tomorrow and choose each other again. We take Emma to the park. We have dinner together. We fight sometimes and make up. We build a life, not a perfect one, but a real one. Sounds simple. It is simple. That's the secret. Marcus kissed her forehead. People spend their whole lives complicating love, making it about conditions and contracts and what they can get. But it's not complicated. You just choose someone and keep choosing them. Every single day. Victoria looked up at him. I choose you, Marcus Carter. I choose you too, Victoria Carter. They stood there, two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way, holding each other in the quiet of their home. Outside, the city continued its endless noise. People made money, lost money, fought for status and power and all the things that didn't actually matter. But inside, in that mansion on the hill that had once felt like a prison and now felt like home, three people had found something richer than wealth, more powerful than status, more valuable than any contract. They'd found each other. And that, Marcus thought as he held his wife and listened to his daughter's peaceful breathing down the hall, was worth more than all the money in the world, because $40 given to a stranger had bought him everything, not because of the money, but because of the love that followed.